This short film is set in Hastings Museum and describes their exhibition, Stored Out of Sight, Hidden History of Disabled People. It is presented by contributors in the following order. Rose, a mature woman with purple hair. Freya, a young woman with chestnut hair. Leslie, a mature woman with blonde hair. Jack, a young man with glasses. Esther, a woman with blonde hair. Hannah, a young woman with long brown hair. And Jan, a mature woman with brown hair. A purple logo shows a ring of rectangles changing into circles, then squares. A title reads, Curating for Change. Rose speaks in the museum, a 1920s country house.
Things to do with disability, people, objects are hidden. It needs to be normalised as part of ordinary society, not just tucked away somewhere.
I think the really exciting thing about this exhibition is it's incredibly diverse in the amount of material that's there. So you've got Victorian paintings,
Jack studies period paintings,
Victorian photographs of disabled people, through to more contemporary depictions of disabled people who've been kind of fighting campaigns to fight for equality. And I think that sort of thread that runs through the whole exhibition around prejudice and stigma, and actually how we as disabled people have sort of fought against that.
Why haven't we recorded the name of the man who had a prosthetic arm? Why do we know so much about the manufacturer but nothing about the life of the man who used that arm? Reading those voices, challenging the museums and highlighting the stories and their absences has been great.
Leslie speaks.
Just because it's not written about or catalogued doesn't mean it's not there. Just like disabled people can't go away just because people don't want to know what's happening.
Jack speaks.
And it was only through Curating for Change that this came about. You know, if this project wasn't there, these objects wouldn't be on show, these stories wouldn't have been told.
Esther sits by a display.
Curating for Change is a work placement programme for deaf, disabled or neurodivergent people who want to pursue a curatorial career. We started it really because we'd done some work with museums in the past and realised that there were very few disabled people in curatorial roles. And without having disabled people in curatorial roles, it's really difficult to tell authentic disability history stories. So it's really important that our fellows, who are on a 18-month placement, have been hosted by museums across the country. So we're working with 20 museums, and today we happen to be at one of them, Hastings Museum. And Jack is one of our fellows who's been on placement here for the last 18 months, looking at their collections.
Jack strolls through the museum looking at photographs on a wall.
The exhibition is called Stored Out of Sight. It's focused on what's been hidden for so long. That's in one way, that's stories, and then the other aspect around Stored Out of Sight was on the objects that were hidden almost completely in the store. There's no documentation that really linked them to disability.
So when I first started talking to Hastings Museum, probably about 4 years ago now about this project, they said to me, oh, we don't really think we've got anything in our collection. And they then had a sort of look and found one item that they thought related to disability. And now this exhibition is testament to the fact that they've had a whole exhibition's worth of material.
Jack stands before a poster display.
I set up a co-production group. So the model for the museum is to work with the community. And so we started to do that here. So that was quite difficult at the beginning because I've never done this before. I had to kind of contact people and get the word out. But slowly but surely it grew quite quickly actually. We had lots of people interested and wanting to be part.
Jack invited some of us informally to the museum to discuss what the project was about. And he had objects that had been part of the museum collection. And we were given the opportunity to handle them and discuss them and say what we thought they were.
Hannah sits by a display case.
You know, we've got the hearing aids on display and the straitjacket, and actually even that made you kind of think about what is considered a disability or what has been considered a disability. And how fortunate we are now in comparison to maybe the past and how disability is treated, but also actually some of the ways we've maybe slid backwards. And so the objects, like, they're cemented in their own time, but it gives you so much perspective of past time and present time.
When I started, I had absolutely no idea of how you research something. It sounds like such a simple idea, and it's like, well, where do I start? But he gave me very helpful suggestions because he was interested. It made life interesting, and he always seemed to have time to talk.
The show opens.
The benefits of being part of Curating for Change are huge. Trying to look for a job was really difficult, and it's really daunting, and you kind of feel that your disability is something you should hide in those processes, and kind of to find an organisation that goes, you know, that's perfect, you know, you don't have to hide that or struggle, you know, that's got a skill in itself, you know, you are of value. So that was really nice, and that helped massively with confidence early on. And then throughout the process, they've helped with just organising things, trips for us, opportunities to speak at the Museum Association, and that just builds you and your career up really. And after a while, you feel more confident, more at ease, and you don't feel that you need to hide anything. You can be quite honest, you know. Firstly, I'd like to thank the co-production group members, Kevin, Rose, Hannah, Holly, Jan, Jane, Hannah and Frankie, who spent over a year researching the objects on show today. The work you put in allowed these objects to be seen for the first time and create the first ever disability exhibition in the museum's history. I want to say my final thank you to Esther, who created the Curating for Change programme and who took a chance on me. Thank you as well for all the support in helping organise and create this exhibition. This wouldn't have been possible without you or the Curating for Change teams, so thank you so much.
Attendees smile as they applaud Jack's speech.
I think it's really fantastic to see Jack's exhibition today, Stored Out of Sight. It's been many months of work, and it really does show that actually hidden within museums are a huge range of materials that can really tell the story of disabled people. And for me, it's even more exciting because I live in Hastings, so seeing some of the kind of local history that I never knew about before this exhibition, and it does sort of give me a sense of understanding people that were here before me, that were also disabled people, and I think that's really important in terms of feeling like you belong in a place.
A fade to black reveals the circular purple logo and title, Curating for Change. Further logos appear in order top to bottom on the black background, screen south, and a purple capital A with the word Accentuate in its crossbar, the crossed finger logo of the National Lottery Heritage Fund, the circular badge of Arts Council England, supported using public funding, the logo for Art Fund, funded by the UK government.